I literally just typed in soccer bitch on Bing, and she was the second and the fourth and the fifth, the sixth, 6 or 7 articles on Megan Rapone. That's hilarious.
She's literally doing for Women's World Cup soccer that what's his name or her name or its name Mulvaney did for Bud Light. You know, they wanted to get paid the same as men's soccer players and stuff like that when they're drawing, you know, a tenth of the crowd.
Right. You want bigger numbers, be a bigger draw. That's
correct. That's just the way it is. No, we're not just going to pay it to you just because of equal opportunities and, you know, and all that shit. But you gotta work for it. Not that many people are going to go watch women's soccer.
Yeah, exactly. Now women's volleyball. Now
different story. Yeah.
Then you get your money. Be reasonable here.
You got 2 reasons to watch that. One for the game.
And then
and the other one. And then the other reason.
The other reason, right. Where the fuck have you been? What the hell?
I heard.
Oh man, I've been looking.
Oh my God.
How long were you sleeping? I called on you forever.
You got a cat now?
Yeah. He's
looks like Ted.
Say hi. He's a big.
Yeah, orange tabbies are very, very vocal cats.
Like we all know, Biden's time is ticking.
Oh yeah,
but we know that there'll be a replacement, and I just feel like the right, like 60 to 70% of the people who lean right and lead MAGA, just do not comprehend that there is a world where Trump is gonna die, and and it's like, if we're being honest, like they're trying to kill Trump at this point. They're trying to put him in jail. They're trying to, like, I don't buy into this is all one kind of ruse to put the guy over so everyone falls in love with him more so he can win. No. Like I don't think that's the case. I don't think this is a pressure release point 2.0. And I just, like, as this is going on and you have the dude who has McDonald's blood type McDonald's, and is going through lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. Like, granted, once you have one, it's kind of like,
who cares if you have 30?
Even if he gets in and serves his time, not serve his time,
second
but
term.
his second term, which I guess,
of course, serving your time. Yeah,
that would be another way of saying that. Like sometime, if you remember how long it was between now and 2016, going backwards, or now between now and, say, Obama's second term, and you think about where you were in your life, in that same amount of time, Trump's probably not going to be here.
No.
The reason I say that is, I mean, he might make it to his 90s, but the reason I say that is I just don't think the populist right is in a position to, like, really understand what's going to happen then. Because all alternatives are the DeSantis neocon 2.0 rebranding kind of people, and there's going to be a huge void to fill. That, I mean, it's conceivable that it just goes back, a Democratic uniparty establishment thing. And the thing is if we look at what Biden has done, we can't really see anything good because he's made him and his administration, we should add, has done so many things that affect the average person's economic ability. Yeah. Meanwhile, he has passed a lot of things that would help the people in the public sense as well. And Trump's, once again, and everyone who follows Trump and all the people who are going to run as, the next wave of the Boberts and the Marjorie Taylor Greens are just going to run on, like, well, we're going to just own the libs once again.
It's a male, though, right?
Yeah, he's a boy.
Yeah. Well, maybe Fred.
No, he's not.
Todd the cat.
What are you doing? Everything has to smell like you, huh?
Yes, of course. I got to rub on everything.
Right. What are you doing? We have a production here.
Are you the new production? I'm the timer.
You're the timer. No, it's time for attention and feeding me.
it's amazing that long tail does a great job of taking stuff off your table. Well,
And
what I'm afraid of happening is that they're literally going to make the presidency seem irrelevant. It's almost there.
Step 1, make elections irrelevant.
Correct.
Step 2, make the presidency irrelevant.
You guys don't know what you're doing. We're going to appoint our own president. Yeah.
Which I don't think necessarily outcome-wise will be the worst thing, because I think a lot, like as we saw with Trump, there was a lot he tried to do, a lot he learned that he couldn't really do because of everything else in place. A lot of stuff he should have undone because of this, and we're just supposed to be like, okay, well, he's mad this time, so you should vote for him.
Well,
that's not a good reason, but it's the good. Well, the good reason is look at the alternative, which
the original reason he was voted in is that nobody wanted Hillary.
Right.
Anybody but Hillary,
and that's a good reason.
And it was
between immediate death and Trump, you'll pick Trump.
And if something happens to Biden in the next year,
and we voted for Trump because it'd be funny.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's kind of like how Jesse got voted in, Minnesota, because we thought, hey, that'd be a hoot. A poor wrestler, yeah. Well, it wasn't. It's not unlikely that all of a sudden he doesn't wake up one morning. Biden or Trump.
Yeah.
I mean, both of them have serious health problems.
Yeah.
I mean, Trump's were so bad that he didn't even let his doctor say what it was.
And these guys are running for president.
Yeah, I know it. And you
like,
think the rest of
I get it. Like, the president doesn't really run the blah blah blah, but he's still the president, man. Like, you got to find something. You got to.
If the president doesn't, why do they make such a big fucking deal about it? Sorry about the swearing. If the president doesn't run the country,
yeah,
then why should we even care? Again, making the presidency irrelevant.
Yeah. And say what you will about an authoritative government, but I think a lot, as we saw with Trump, and then Biden just undoing a lot. Now, how competent was it? How competent was it versus how well he just was able to sign pieces of paper, and that's another debate. But you can get a lot of shit done with the authoritative uniparty. That's unfortunate. Say what you will about him, you can get a lot of shit done. But no, this guy, he gets named on the 13th.
Why do you got to wait?
He's getting named after the winner of a Japanese wrestling tournament. We'll see. But he's cute, so
yeah, that's cute.
He's affectionate. And the other thing is, moving forward in the future, these groups of radical Democrats, they also aren't as pro-Israel as everyone else. So there might be a changing of the tide there a little bit, if that continues to grow. And it's kind of weird that the only other group, how professional we are, the only other group that I see that's going to try to hold on to that, ironically, are the young MAGA people.
Oh, I think that the alt-left, the young alt-left people are pro-Muslim.
Yeah, that's another weird thing.
That's a weird thing. It's like, what are you talking about? They want to kill the U.S. too.
I think it's weird when more people leaning right do that. I think that makes sense when the left does that, because they're like, oh, you're not like us. We have to be inclusive, blah, 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 blah. But there's this weird fascination with them on the right where they're like, oh, look, they're being traditional and they're covering up and yada, yada, and white Sharia now. It's like, okay, well, did you just completely forget that we had our own culture before too that was more traditional, and we weren't doing that?
And the Muslims weren't allowed in.
And that, everyone says, oh, Judeo-Christian nation. There were more Muslims than Jews at the start of the country.
And now you got the Chinese basically flooding us with all the illegal pharmaceuticals.
And they're having the cartel sell them.
Correct.
So, yeah.
So I mean, and us Americans, hell, we just take pills. We've been literally, trained to take pills.
Yeah.
Oh, this hurts. Take this pill. Oh, they won't hurt anymore. Oh, that hurts. I'll take this pill. Oh, you got sneezes? Here, take this pill.
You know what? That's fucked. That it's like we went from. Oh wow, that makes a lot of sense because there was a generation who would just give their kids pills, and now that the next generation you just give your kid an iPad, and that's bonkers to me. It's like
And pills.
And pills, yeah. Don't forget the pills.
Yeah, pills haven't stopped.
No.
That's because they didn't have to parent them.
That isn't. When did
what happened is that we don't have parents anymore. We've got adults that don't want to have the responsibility of parenting, so they let the schools parent their children. And then they don't parent them. They come home and go, here, sit down and watch. Here's your iPad. Okay. Mommy's got some work to do.
When was the last year, because the phone and the iPad thing is new gen. When was the last year where it wasn't like, oh, I don't want to take care of my kid. We're going to give him pills. But before then, you had a parent and then you went outside. Now, if you had a parent who wanted to take care of you, they told you to still go outside. If you had a parent and they didn't want to take care of you, you just went outside and you didn't come back.
Yeah.
Or you just stayed out later.
Just stayed out. Well, I think it happened in the 90s. Because it wasn't that way in the 80s.
I think it was just like...
Wait a minute. But didn't we just say that they're hiring a whole bunch of people, and now it's just right there, Minneapolis losing police officers faster than they can hire them?
Right. In 2020, around episode 60 to 70, we did a show.
Yeah.
And the mayor said that he wanted 888 police officers. We made a joke about that.
I recommend fixing him because you do not want him spraying.
Oh, that's right. They do that.
Yeah, and it is a foul odor that doesn't come out of stuff.
Really?
You can't even wash it out. It's bad. And all it takes is one cat and heat, and he'll be out spraying everywhere in your house, on your clothes, everything.
But I don't want to cut his balls off. Those are his balls.
Yeah, I know, but he'll be happier for it.
How? Those are his balls.
Well, I understand that, but I'm serious. You do not want him starting to spray. And males are notorious for it.
However, so that means he had, I don't know, 700 some at the time. Since that time in 2020, there's a sentence here. As recent as 2019, Minneapolis police had about 900 sworn officers on its payroll. Between 2020 and 2022, they had 273 officers leave their job. In that same 3 period, they hired 117 officers. So less than half of that. Which a net loss of 156 officers and the average net loss of 52 officers over the last 3 years. So the drain is fatal.
Minneapolis is losing police officers at a faster pace than they can replace them. MPD Chief Brian O'Hara calls it unsustainable.
Our Jay Cole has talked with the chief about recruiting efforts and what it will take to turn things around. He joins us live in Minneapolis. Jay?
Cal, and you'll remember just about 4 years ago, Minneapolis police had 900 sworn officers, but that number keeps dwindling. And if that trend continues, the next few years will be a challenging few years. After the flames were put out and the 3rd precinct was abandoned, the number of Minneapolis police officers has gone way down, and that exodus continues. How do you see it when you see those numbers?
Well, I see the situation as not sustainable the way it is.
And the way it is, according to city records, is this. Between 2020 and 2022, a collective total of 273 officers left MPD. During those same 3 years, 117 new officers were hired. That's a net loss of 156 officers.
And it's difficult because the cops who are here, together with all of our law enforcement partners, are making incredible progress.
If this trend continues, MPD would have fewer than 400 sworn officers by the end of 2025. MPD Chief Brian O'Hara says he's aggressively recruiting with an offer to pay for college education.
That's something that we're trying to promote as much as possible, get the word out. It's something that we think could potentially change the course of some kids' lives in our city.
His new recruiting team, he says, going cross-country.
They're going to be expanding to visiting military installations around the country because there's currently a pathway for military police to come on and become police officers in Minnesota.
Fast forward to the next news article when they do the follow-up. Apparently, no one in the country wants to join the Minneapolis Police Department. You hear that? He wants me to cut your balls off. I don't know. Can they do that to you?
Yeah, we can.
All right. Well, the other thing is that
don't you remember Bob Barker? Spay and neuter your pets.
I guess.
Come on, Bob. Bob knew it, man. I mean, The Price is Right. He was it.
Well, this guy, he's a boy.
Yeah.
The barn cat. I thought it was a Mr. Barn Cat. Hey, buddy. Headbutt.
The female, and she's not fixed.
No, she had babies already from some.
She's gonna go into heat, and he's gonna go effing nuts.
You'll be fine.
Even at his age, and even in the house, he's gonna do everything he can to get at her.
You're gonna be fine.
I've had both kinds, cats that are fixed, unfixed, and I'm telling you, it's not a good thing.
I'm gonna learn a lesson having you. You're gonna go crazy, and then we're not gonna get along anymore.
And here's what else can happen: is that if you wait too long and do it, they can still spray even after they've been neutered.
Really?
Yeah. So this stuff's just telling you from experience.
Very big problem.
The chair of the city council's public safety committee says money could help.
All the major cities who have had a decline in officers are dealing with what we're dealing with, and they've got big bonuses. Some up to $75,000 are paying cities. I think it's LA who's doing $75,000 signing bonuses. We have to do it. We have to look at it.
Oof! Oh my God, $75,000 signing bonus. That's better than professional athletes get.
Yes, you want to do that and free college? Not even or? God damn.
And they're still not getting people. People are like, you know what? I'm not going to go work someplace where they just want to get rid of us, that we're just there for the period of time that it takes them to figure out a way to get rid of us.
Now, we should learn more about the city's plan to address the shortage at MPD next week. Mayor Jacob Fry is expected to deliver his proposed budget to the city council.
Damn, poor damn place, man. They're doomed.
Gosh, unbelievable. It really is. And like I said, it's happening across the country. It's not just here, but in a city this size, losing that many officers makes a bigger impact than, losing that many officers in a city that had a police force like Los Angeles. 1% loss in Los Angeles is a huge number of people, but it doesn't wipe out, your law enforcement capabilities. 1% loss in Minneapolis, that takes a lot of cops off the roads that make a big difference. I mean, they've gone so far as to they leave empty police cars with their lights on the side of the road now. They just drop the car off, lock the doors, leave the lights on. So it makes it look like there's a presence of police, because they don't have people to police all the areas. We've got car thefts that are rampant, and they can't even go after who is doing it, because there's shootings available, or stabbings, or And so there's things that take priority to car thefts. Well, then the car thefts just keep getting more and more and more. It's almost like they don't care about those because they're more worried about what's going on in the rest of the city because there's only so many police officers now.
Yeah, just defund the police and just create a unit to catch the car thieves.
That's what they did. See how he's rubbing on everything and rubbing on you, and that's what he'll be doing with his spray. He's going to be spraying on you and spraying on the microphone and spraying on anything that you wear, covering up your scent to get that female to come after him instead of you. That's how they think. It's the animal world.
Okay, well, what if I put a diaper on him?
Nope. It's not about him. It's about her going into heat, and there's cats that go into heat. A cat can go into heat 5 miles from you, and that cat will smell her.
Huh.
So it's not a good thing. I mean, just and females spray too.
All right. Well, you know what? Technically, you are vermin. You are vermin. So I'm okay with that. Now the dogs keep their balls. You keep your balls.
Yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem.
You keep your balls, bro. Come here.
What else would I lick? He says.
You're good, bro.
You can't lick nothing.
You're
destined for the knife, dude.
Yeah, you're gonna be a soprano soon, or whatever it's called. Higher up.
You're gonna be a trans cat.
Oh no.
No, he won't, because he'll be a eunuch cat.
Yeah, he didn't like that idea. Man, did we talk about the Romanian shit on air, or was that before the bell?
That was before, and we talked about the pickpockets.
It's like literally what you would expect the Romanian fucking mob to be doing is literally pickpocket.
The gypsies.
I just want to add, that's a 23-year-old and a 25-year-old. Damn, that is not aging well.
No, those are some people who had a hard life already.
Yeah. Theft by swindle. All right, so their crime involves sleight of hand, quick change scheme that takes place during cash exchanges at point and sale. Charges say the suspects select cashiers they deem to be vulnerable. Present, they selected merchandise for purchase and begin to converse with the cashier. What is this? Some carnival shit?
It is. It's like, hey, oh, okay, I'm going to pay you this in cash, but hang on a second. I need 2 5s for this 20. Then back and forth, and pretty soon they got all the money. The cashier's closing the drawer, and they're walking out the door.
I wonder how much of it was like, oh, quick change, sleight of hand, Romanian. Oh, everyone who's doing this is Romanian. It's a Romanian organized crime group.
Yeah.
Just like, I wonder if they were doing some other crime other than pickpocketing that they wouldn't in sleight of hand, like some gypsy shit. If they wouldn't be called the Romanian organized crime group.
But
found guilty in March by a jury committing sex acts with 5 girls aged 15 to 16 in 2020. He was 30 years old, carried a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years. They likened him to Epstein, paying underage girls. That's just what Epstein did. So we'll play the video. We'll be right back. The controversy is this guy. He's been on other shows doing like political, analyses or something like that. But the head of the GOP, the Asian lady,
she apparently got campaign funds from him.
Yeah, became friends when she when she ran unsuccessfully for a legislative seat in 2016. He backed her to become party chair in 2017, attended her wedding in 2018, and hosted a podcast together. So that's a little bit more than
just being a buddy. Yeah, it's like a campaign problem. Yeah.
He had pictures with Trump and Pence. He gave more than $270,000 to the campaigns between the years. That's damn. Is this the same picture as no, two different videos? All right. Can you hear that?
Nope, no volume.
You can't hear this? Nothing?
Nothing.
All right, hold on. So he was a powerful GOP operative, and he will now be spending 20. That's what he said so far. How about now?
In prison. Anton Lazaro was sentenced
Yeah.
today for sex trafficking minors after he was found guilty of those crimes in March. Fox 9's Karen Scullen now with what happened in court and how he got to this point.
You can still hear it, right?
32-year-old Anton Lazaro will be 51 years old when he gets federal prison. From there, it's 5 years on supervised release.
Anton Tony Lazaro was becoming a big GOP donor and political activist in Minneapolis, but now he's heading to prison. Prosecutors say Lazaro targeted young girls and gave the 15 and 16-year-olds cash and gifts, and in exchange, the girls would Uber to his upscale condo for sex. Today, federal prosecutors said Anton Lazaro was a predator who hid in plain sight. He was a sex trafficker who camouflaged his true nature with his wealth and privilege. The case started back in August of 2021 when Lazaro was arrested, leading to a shakeup in the GOP, including the resignation of party chair Jennifer Carnahan. She and Lazaro were close friends, but she has said she had no knowledge of his illegal activities. Following that, more details of Lazaro's scheme unfolded. He would use then 18-year-old Gisela Castro Medina to recruit the young girls, usually through social media. She was ultimately paid $50,000 by Lazaro for her efforts, but testified against him at his March trial, where he was eventually found guilty. The sentencing judge commented on the soulless, mechanical nature of Mr. Lazaro's crimes, like a sex trafficking assembly line, adding that the only two people Mr. Lazaro showed any remorse for were himself and Jeffrey Epstein, who Mr. Lazaro called his brother. Lazaro has maintained he did not know the girls were underage.
Now again, Lazaro gets 21 years. Prosecutors had asked for 30. Gisela Castro Medina will be sentenced next month for her role in the scheme.
This afternoon, a verdict in the federal sex trafficking trial we have all been following since last week. Our Rob Olson has been covering this from the start. He walks us through where the jury came down in the Tony Lazaro trial.
It took the jury only a couple of hours to come back with verdicts of guilty on all 6 counts against 32-year-old Anton Tony Lazaro here. This came after a week of trial and a morning of closing arguments. This is some of the evidence that they saw during the trial. These are photos of Anton Lazaro's Minneapolis condominium showing the bar, and it's talking about the alcohol that he served to these victims, the boxes of vapes that he gave to them as well. A lot of time spent pointing out the mirror on the ceiling above his bed. We also saw this video counting hundreds of dollars of bills. This from a Snapchat from one of the alleged victims. Again, guilty of all 6 counts. Count 1 is conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of minors. Counts 2 through 6 is sex trafficking of minors for the 5 victims here who all testified the only reason that they had sex with him was for the money and the gifts that followed. The U.S. Attorney's Office here, the prosecutors say they hope that this is a lesson for a lot of people about the various forms that trafficking can take.
Anton Lazaro is a danger to every family with a daughter and to everyone who believes in common decency. As the verdict demonstrated and as the evidence showed, Anton Lazaro is a predator.
The jury is not done here, even though the verdicts are in. They must return on Monday for a forfeiture hearing. That's where they decide which properties of Tony Lazaro will be seized by the state. Anything connected to the crime, his condominium, his Ferrari, etc. Sentencing has not yet set. The range anywhere from 10 years to life in prison. U.S. Attorney Andy Luger said there'll be some serious time.
Did I was gonna know? Did at any point did they say what years he was having sex with these minors?
Sex traffic.
It was before 2021.
Of minors.
Okay,
counts 2 through. Yeah. It took the jury only a couple of hours.
That's when
the verdicts of
the whole thing
guilty
came
on all
out.
6 counts against 32-year-old Anton Tony Lazaro here. This came after a week of trial and a morning of closing arguments. this is some of the evidence that they saw during the trial. These are photos
There's a
of
white
Anton
machine there. What
Lazaro's
the hell's that for?
condominium, showing the bar and
A nice looking bar.
that he served to these victims.
I mean,
The box
you're gonna have a
Hold
bar.
on, hold on,
gave
hold
to
on.
them as well. A lot of time spent pointing out the mirror on the ceiling above his bed. We also
That's a
saw
little
this
weird.
video
I'm
on the
sorry.
Snapchat of all 6 count of mine, 5 victims. Him was for the money and the gifts. That hope that this.
So the reason that I brought up the
What years? Here you go.
when that happened was I was just wondering, like,
2018.
I wonder how many like sketchy dudes who are in politics, like, there's no reason, because there's no story of him blackmailing someone that I can gather. He just did this for himself, and that I can tell so far, or that we know of so
He wasn't
far.
shipping these people anywhere.
And the reason, yeah, and it's just like, I wonder, because like the Epstein story technically happened over 10 years before this broke
Yeah.
anyway. I wonder how many like weird political donors were like, oh, I'm gonna try to do, like, they would just normally would just pay for regular hookers, you know,
Yeah.
and probably nothing would ever really come out of it. It's just, here's the other dude who's sleazy, who's banging whores and donating to politicians.
Because the hookers
But
aren't gonna bring it up.
No, I wonder how many of these weirdos were like, oh, well, I can do all these things and get the Ferrari and also do this underage thing because this is what the bigwigs in politics are doing. The kids, like, and next thing you know, he screwed himself like for another 30 years. Like, I wonder how much of like people were like actually inspired by Epstein to just go a few years younger.
But who was Epstein inspired by? There was someone before him. He didn't come up with this plan.
Well, that's one of like the arguments, is there's probably a billionaire family behind the Mossad that inspired him to do that.